And look directly at Ted Cruz, Republican, Texas, still on the Senate floor. He's been there since 2:41 Eastern Time yesterday afternoon. He's approaching 20 hours on the floor fighting to defund Obamacare. He's a small government guy, I'll give you that one.
He's a very small government guy. And he's a very effective speaker for the small government message.
Hey, watch out, the judge is here. He wants to get his 10 cents worth in.
I have to say, go, David. There is nothing that I could say to add to the brilliance and the brilliant analysis David just gave.
What Ted Cruz is doing is promoting himself and his leadership position within the Republican Party.
Well,
I would suggest that it may be bad for the Republican Party in the sense that it is split.
I have a different view, and I would start out by saying, go, Ted, go. Because the longer he talks, the more people around the country, not in the Republican leadership, but in the Republican Party, stand up and agree with him. What he's doing is sending a message to the other side of Capitol Hill. Speaker Boehner, your days in that job are numbered because more Republicans agree with me, I'm speaking as if I'm Ted Cruz, than agree with you. Agree
not,
with Asman.
Not if he shuts down the government.
Then agree with
If he shuts down the government, the people are not with him.
He shut down the government. He may be shutting down the Senate for 24 hours.
Come on, Judge. It will be seen as the Republicans shutting down the government. Whether it's them or not, it doesn't matter. That's the way it's going to be seen.
I don't think they care if they can remove the John McCain, Mitt Romney, John Boehner, spineless leadership that they have in Congress and replace it with people like Tom Graves in the House of Representatives or Ted Cruz in the Senate. I'll tell you another thing about Senator Cruz. Wait till you see how much money pours into his campaign coffers as a result of this. When John McCain called him a wacko bird 3 months ago, in 2 days, without asking...
He also used the F word to refer to him as well.
In 2 days, without asking, $1 million unsolicited poured into the senator's re-election campaign. He already has, 3 years before he has to run for re-election, more than enough to run for re-election.
All right.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
I've got to move it. I've got another. This is a very good story. I've got another one for you. Okay. It pays, it seems, to sue J.P. Morgan. Last week, Morgan paid $920 million. That was the fine because of the London whale trading loss, which was about $4 billion. So they lose $4 billion, then they pay a fine on top of that. The loss only affected them. They admitted wrongdoing. Now, J.P. Morgan faces up to a $7 billion mortgage settlement, and they're being investigated by 6 different agencies. Hold on a second, Judge. This seems to me that the administration is trying to pin the blame for the crash on J.P. Morgan. They're putting a face of evil on America's biggest bank, or one of the biggest banks.
I fully agree with you. On the whale, J.P. Morgan lost its own money. It's none of the government's business. For the government to add to that loss is theft, is reprehensible, and is criminal. If the shareholders want to kick out Jamie Dimon or kick out the board of directors because they permitted the whale to do what the whale did, that's the business of the shareholders. They lost the money. The government didn't lose a nickel. For the government to add to that pain is absurd.
Well, they say that the government is saying you should have known. You should have had checks and balances on that trade.
You should have known not to lose your own money? What concern is that of the government?
But that is what they are saying. And you know what? A lot of people are very much in the government's camp. They hate Wall Street. Why else are we going to have Bill de Blasio become the next mayor of New York?
Bill de Blasio is another issue which will visit pain on almost everybody listening to us, including everybody in this studio at the moment. But for the government to say we're going to punish you because you lost your own money defies the concept of the free market.
I agree entirely.
As for the other things, yes, they want to demonize, no pun intended, Jamie Dimon, and they want to say, oh, the crash and the housing market is not our fault. Forget about Andrew Cuomo and HUD. Forget about Fannie and Freddie. It's the bankers' fault, and it's particularly you because you run the biggest bank in the country. That's preposterous. I hope they don't give the government voluntarily a nickel.
They're blaming
what happened when people stopped giving Elliot Spitzer all the nickels that he extorted?
He got some more. And he
never tried a case. If they went to a jury and the jury got the proper jury charges, the government...
Who's more responsible for foisting bad loans on people who couldn't afford them? The banks or the Barney Franks and the Andrew Cuomos who forced banks to make loans to people who couldn't afford to pay them back?
Fannie and Freddie bought garbage, and the bankers knew they could sell all their garbage to Fannie and Freddie.
But the bankers were forced to give those loans by the people in Congress.
They're wrapping me. This is really you telling me to cease and desist.